The Green Ops podcast is brought to you by F3 Tactical, Spotter Up, Sons of Liberty Gunworks, and Blue Force Gear. Should they be doing, maybe give them like the bare bones of what Barbell Logic and linear progression is? Sure.
So just to start off, your first step is probably to not just consume a lot of information because you're going to start becoming paralyzed just by the amount of information that's out there and what direction to go. So when in doubt, go back to basics. You take it real simple. If you're real green, I would recommend thoroughly going through the starting strength, novice, linear progression. And for those who don't know what that is, you work out 3 days a week. It's 3 exercises every time you go in the gym. Mm-hmm. You squat every day. That doesn't mean leg day every day. You're not doing a Ronnie Coleman 3-day, or 3-hour marathon exercise. You were doing 3 sets of 5 squats, and then you're rolling into a press of some kind, whether it's an overhead press or a bench press that day. 3 sets of 5, and then you roll into a deadlift for 1 set of 5. Mm-hmm. It progresses along like that, and I won't go too many details on this particular podcast.
Sure.
Just because there's a lot of little tweaks and things along the way. But the general rule of thumb is 3 times a week, get in the gym, full body, compound movements, 3 sets of 5, enough to where you can do it again the next workout. So sure. If you're 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
So, and how long... So we're on that linear progression where you're kind of just adding weight every so often,
right?
At whatever interval it is. How long are you seeing clients? Well, 2 questions. So you're taking that 3x5, 3 workouts a day, 3 days a week. How long are they spending in the gym? Your average beginner / late beginner novice?
Yeah, sure. So
warm-up sets and all of that stuff. What are we talking?
If I were to get somebody brand new off the street doing this program for the very first time, I mean, you're less than an hour. Mm-hmm. For any of those exercises. The idea being, when you start off, the load should be enough to where on that last set, you could probably give about 3 more reps. So you're not going to failure. Okay. You're not going to failure on any of those. And then the next workout, you add 5 pounds to that. And the next workout after that, 5 pounds. And you touched on something, however many times a week you can do it. So when you start to train, the ability to which you can recover is inversely proportional to the amount of time you've been training. Okay. So if you're just getting back into the gym, even let's say you were a D1 athlete, mm-hmm. And you're just getting back into the gym, you could probably add 5 pounds to that first workout 3 times a week. Eventually, it'll get to the point where you can't do that, and maybe you have to focus on weekly progress or monthly progress. Mm-hmm. But at first, when you're progressing linearly, just getting back in the swing of things, it's every workout. Okay.
And so, how long are people kind of staying on some sort of linear progression model? Usually, once they get started, it's not like you're on there for only a week or 2. It's you can stay on there for a good amount of time.
A good amount of time. So the answer is almost unfortunately always it depends.
Sure.
I've seen people go as long as 4 months. 16 weeks. Some people even more. Depending on where you start and your genetic potential.
Is there a fail in there? So let's say we were squatting and we were doing linear progression. We got to 2 1/4 and we couldn't, that last 3x5, that last set of 5, we got 4.
Right.
Are you talking about like that where they kind of reset the numbers and they just keep moving on? Or you're talking 16 weeks, they may never fail a lift?
In 16 weeks, they may never fail, but I'll caveat that heavily with it's not always the same workout all the time. So the novice linear progression, there's a reason why there's an entire book written to starting strength, mm-hmm. And the program there. So the first couple weeks, you're progressing at that same weight. In about 4 to 6 weeks, you might want to consider adding in a light day. And it's really hard for me to make that recommendation because I've worked with some like genetic freaks who mm-hmm. just, you wouldn't know it. Just a farmer, the one I'm thinking of is from Australia. Okay. And that dude kept adding weight 3 times a week for months.
Just kept doing it.
And he didn't know any better.
Wow.
Is the thing. So he was just like, I don't know, is this a lot? And you have to kind of do the math because if he's lifting kilograms or something, you got to, it's like, no, that is a lot. Right. That is a lot. So, I mean, it's really going to be dependent upon the individual.
Okay.
On when you make the programming changes. But the general rule of thumb is we don't miss reps in training. Okay. The general starting strength line it would probably follow suit with that. I know some people think that they prescribe people going all the way until the end, right? Until you fail. And if you're running your stuff by yourself, that might not be a bad idea at first, just because if you're coming into it new or green, the odds of you getting to a weight that would actually be catastrophic at that level would be 0 to none. So
when you say catastrophic, can you kind of define that in weightlifting terms?
Sure. So in weightlifting terms, catastrophic is probably too big of or too bad of a word to describe that. But let's say you're a big, strong guy. Let's say you build your squat. You're going 5 pounds heavier each and every time. You know your limit, and you know the difference between, is this technique limiting me, or is this weight?
Complete episode available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app. New Green Ops podcast episodes available every Thursday. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the new content.